yeah, you can read a book, you can do all this, but just go out there and get some reps in it. You're going to learn more by doing it and trying it, and it's okay to ask for help from people, but don't let school get in the way of your education, because that experience is what's going to ultimately get you to where you need to be.
Hey, freedom fighters! Welcome to the Active Duty Passive Income Podcast, the only place where military members, veterans, and their families learn how to build wealth through real estate investing. I'm your host, Mike Foster, and I'm here to show you how to stop wasting your benefits. Now get off your ass, step up to the firing line, and make ready for today's lesson. Shooter, stand by.
Hey ADPI Nation, Kevin here. Before we kick off this week's show, I wanted to mention the triad. No, I'm not talking about the nuclear triad or the infamous Chinese gang. I'm talking about the ADPI triad. Or, in other words, the 3 single most important steps you can take to begin mastering real estate investing today. Click the link in the show notes below or head over to www.activedutypassiveincome.com/resources to register for my masterclass, where I'll reveal the ADPI triad and share the secrets to creating a real estate cash flow machine so you can reach financial freedom in 5 years or less. So do yourself a favor, pause the episode, click the link, and register now. You won't regret it. Now, let's start the show. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Kevin Brenner, host of the Active Duty Passive Income Podcast, and I am blessed with another fantastic dynamic duo of a group of investors who are joining me from overseas right now. We have Samantha and Bob Meyer, and Bob is an active duty infantry officer, a major in the Marine Corps, and Samantha is a fabulous realtor, and they have combined their powers. I call them the dynamic duo because they've combined their powers to successfully invest from afar. And actually build their portfolio while being overseas. And I think that's a major part of today's episode. So if you're interested, if you are overseas right now and you want to get some tips on how to make this happen and how to build the right team and how to follow in their footsteps, you definitely want to give this a listen. If you're heading overseas and you have orders, you're going to Korea, you're going to the Middle East, you're going wherever, you're going to Europe, this is an episode you're going to want to listen to because it's about building those foundational blocks before you leave that will set you up for massive success while you're gone. And then when you come back, guess what? You got a portfolio of cash flow and real estate to your name. So that's the game plan, right? So without further ado, Sam and Bob, welcome to the show. And Sam, we'll start with you. Well, we'll start with both of you, and you can answer it how you choose. But can you both tell us a little bit about your military background and kind of what spurred you into real estate?
Yeah. First off, Kevin, appreciate it. Listen to you on the way into work today, so it's a little surreal sitting here at the evening time, but appreciate everything you guys do with this podcast, and it's an honor to be here. Little background, I think the military story for us is definitely it's the pair of us. Met Sam the day that I signed up for the Marine Corps, so we've been doing this adventure the whole time.
That's awesome.
In regards to Big Blue Arrows and where we're at, we started off renting as lieutenants, paying off student loan. Always had the desire to be in real estate, and finally got to the point on that growth curve to where we were able to start purchasing. And it just so happens as we were doing it overseas, and kind of looking back on it, there's a lot of value in it in what Sam has built, the network, and she's kind of the superpower behind this one. So I'll let her deep dive into that one.
So how we got started in real estate, we, like everybody else, became accidental investors. He went on recruiting duty, and we moved kind of away from the Marine Corps base community where the rental inventory wasn't exactly what we were used to seeing, like around a base. So buying was the better option. So we bought a house. And as Bobby said before, we're very financially disciplined. We were really working hard at paying off debt. So we set a budget and we stuck to it. And the only thing that fit in our budget was a fixer-upper. So we got that fixer-upper, and then we literally touched every single square inch of that house. Floors, paint, windows, landscaping, basement, up, counters, cabinets, appliances, all of it. We did the entire house over the 3 years that he was on recruiting duty. And we learned so much. Oh, and we had a baby at some point in there too. Minor
Wow.
details.
So oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to emphasize the fact that you guys, your first home was in fact a fix and flip, right? A live and flip.
Yeah, unintentionally, but yeah, definitely. We did a lot of forced appreciation, a lot of sweat equity. We learned a lot about, what things to pick and materials and what, adds value. That entire house experience was completely education. And so we stayed there for 3 years, and then we ended up renting it out, and then for a year, and then once again, more and more education. We learned the difference very quickly between a good property manager and a bad property manager. And then we also learned tenant screening. If you see red flags, listen to them.
Yes. Prior evictions, drug charges, things like that. Not ideal.
Yeah, even credit scores. I mean, I think her credit score was like slightly below what we were wanting, and we're like, well, we'll let it slide, and don't let it slide.
That house we just call our education.
Yeah, that was a lot of learning in there. So we rented that out. Wasn't the most pleasant rental experience. So we ended up selling. Well, we were kind of butt heads on. He wanted to rent it out again. I wanted to sell it. And so I sold it while he was in the field.
Oh, sick burn. Oh, no. Yeah. Nailed it.
Yep, he was in the field.
So he comes back from the field. He's all like just sweaty and awful. And he's like, God, I just want to shower. And you're like, hey, can you meet me at this hotel? Because I sold our house. Like, how did that conversation go?
Well, we weren't living in it. It was a rental. We had another house.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
okay,
so
that's true.
That made a huge difference. I was not going to make myself homeless. Yeah, he got back from the field, and he got a text message from our property manager like, hey, would you accept an offer for this amount? And then he texted me back. He's like, what do you think about that offer? I was like, I accepted it, so I hope you like it.
There you go. Just ask for forgiveness. Yeah, it was a great offer.
But I promised that I would take the proceeds from that flip and turn it into 2 more houses, and that's kind of how we began that.
All right, Sam. So at this point in your journey, were you already a realtor?
No, I was not. I was in Quantico having another baby, and we went from Quantico to Camp Lejeune, and this was our second time going to Lejeune. We went there with the intention to invest. And once we got there in 2018 is when I got my North Carolina broker's license.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So at this time you had sold the first house, and then you're PCSing back to Camp Lejeune in a market that you're familiar with. So I guess the follow-up question here, the obvious one is what kind of made you pursue getting that broker's license?
It was kind of like a bug in my ear, and I think the bug was him. You should do it. And I got the broker's license with the intention to build a network, get to know the process, get to know the people, and just, again, more education. We were in that education analysis paralysis phase.
Right. So you had this capital from the sale, and you knew you wanted to buy more real estate, but I love this move because, everyone, we say this all the time, your network is your net worth, right? So if you can go and do something to improve your network and get connected more tightly with the market that you're in, you're going to be able to find deals before they hit the MLS. And obviously being a broker, you have access to those things. So Bob, at this point, it sounds like you're definitely, excuse the pun, gung-ho on real estate. Like you are just like in it. You want more real estate. You have realized the power. What are your thoughts? As Sam mentioned that you kind of pushed her to become a broker, but what are your plans at this point in the story? Like, what do are you just looking to build a massive network of real estate, or are you just kind of like, let me just pick up a house here and every PCS? Like, did you guys have that game plan worked out, or was it all kind of just like go with the flow and and work it out as we go?
Yeah, so I definitely bounced around a little bit. I went in with the game plan of every PCS, and then our original plan was a house a year. So including the PCS, it would just leave us the opportunity every 12 months to pick up a property. Um, so we went into it. We got to Camp Lejeune in 2018, and Sam's bug that she had, she everywhere she's gone, each PCS, she's went to a sales position, and she's just risen to the top very fast. And I was like, you need to do this because we can travel with this, and you just go out there, and she's very competitive, and she won't say that, but um, when when we got there in 2018, she went and got her license and just started tearing it up. But we still didn't purchase any properties. We were there at
Mm.
Camp Lejeune for 2018 all the way to summer of 2020, and we left 2020. Um, she was very successful with the real estate. I was pretty much pacing across the house floor, leaving a line in the carpet, wanting to buy a house, and I just kept reading books, and it was as soon as we PCS'd, we realized like, all right, we got to do it now, or we're never going to do it. And
Yeah.
that's where her network came into play, and really just set us up with the right people. And us being away from that area and knowing it kind of took the emotion out of it. We fall in love with the numbers sort of deal, and allowed us to establish some systems that actually worked rather than us.
Yeah, and you
thinking
had
about
mentioned, yeah, Bob, you had mentioned that you guys were kind of stuck in this analysis paralysis. So would you say that Sam getting her broker's license and and then expanding her network, did that help with the kind of getting out of the analysis mode?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think it did, and I think it. I did a lot of reading, a lot of podcasts, listening to those. I had a really good idea in my head of what I wanted, but her going out there and experiencing it, and she fell in love with real estate, allowed us to get on the same channel, same vision, and yeah, what she's built has been the 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 value to what we've done so far with that network.
That's incredible. And Sam, I'm going to brag about you now because, our listeners out there that, they might say, oh, go and get your broker's license, and you certainly can. And having that dynamic duo, like I mentioned earlier, and it could be extremely helpful. But Sam, you are a rock star in your own right, selling $6 million of real estate in 18 months in your first 18 months of being in real estate. That's very, very impressive. So can you talk to us about that journey and kind of how you fell in love with it? And then we'll bridge into you guys going overseas and starting to pick up more and more rentals. But what is it that made you fall in love with not only real estate, but just selling real estate?
I love helping military families not get taken advantage of because I'm one of them. I've seen so many people get overpriced and whatnot. It was nice to help military families, do right by them and take good care of them. And I can offer a lot more than just real estate advice. I can offer PCS advice. Do you want to do a Diddy
Right.
or do you want to, have a DMO move? I'm helpful in so many other ways. And then I just love being my own boss and how flexible the schedule is. It bent around that military spouse life that you really need that flexibility. My kids have been at more closing tables than 90% of real estate agents. And, my 5-year-old can sell a house better than 100% of them. I mean, they've been through this with me.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that flexibility and obviously the flexibility in your schedule is helpful in this line of work, but also you get advanced access, and you get when we talk about access to the MLS or the multiple listing service, you can get advanced access. You can see what's coming on the market first. You have a network, and as a broker, you can obviously represent yourself and save money when you're buying property. So there are some benefits, and it's not necessarily for everyone, but there are certainly some benefits of having one half of the one spouse be either an agent or a broker or something, and the other spouse kind of having the investor mindset, because you're taking both of those together and you're combining and you're taking the, squeezing the best juice out of both of those, and you end up with what you guys have built. And that's what I want to transition and talk about now. So 2020, you get sent overseas. Is this a 3-year tour? I presume at least a 3-year tour, and you're probably right in the middle of it right now. What was that first deal like from doing this remotely? Like, there's got to be a story there.
It honestly wasn't as bad as you would think. Again, I had built a really strong network in the area, and I was very familiar with the area, so there wasn't really too many hidden secrets that we didn't know. And somebody that I had a really good relationship decided to do one-on-one coach mentoring for investing, and he was an investor himself. So it was a huge confidence builder to kind of have that mentor with us, walking us through, yes, these are the numbers, yes, this is the process. And it really helped. He was a good sounding board to just bounce ideas off, and kind of, we'd read so many books and done so much research that we didn't really know. We couldn't narrow it in. And he really helped us narrow it in.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. And we say this all the time on the podcast, but finding a mentor, finding a mastermind, a group of like-minded individuals, whatever you want to call it. But you hit it right on the head when you said you had a sounding board, because you can read all of the books, and it sounds like you guys have read all the books between the two of you. But when you do that, there's so many different ways to invest in real estate, and it could be overwhelming. But to have someone to say, hey, I know you, Sam, and I know you, Bobby, and I know that this is kind of what you like. Tell me, what your idea is, and I'll just give you the sanity check and say, hey, that idea might not work out so well, but because I know you guys, you might be more in line with this bit of investing. And once you find that traction and once you find that focus, it's lights out, because then it's just, full steam ahead. You have your vector check, and you're all thrust, and you're going in the direction you need to go. So for you guys, it sounds like it was single family buy and holds, right? Or are we still in fix and flip?
We're mostly single family buy and holds. We're in the midst of our first flip, so that's an adventure.
So tell me, the first deal you found this mentor, they were helping you out, and you got this first deal. Tell me about your transition as you go from one deal to 2 to 3 to 4, and now what, you're at 6 or 7 still while overseas, right?
Yeah, this flip is our 7th.
Wow, that's crazy. So, and you guys been overseas for what, a year and a half ish?
Just over a year now.
Okay, just over a year. So Bobby, this one house a year thing, that math got turned upside down in a good way.
Yeah, we had to make up some ground from when I first put that thought in my head. So,
hey, well, it sounds like you've doubled that ground.
No, it's been awesome. The big part about our mentor, Mike, he has connections across the board. So we've been able to utilize his network, which is wholesalers. He owns a construction company. In his character, has really allowed us to put a lot of trust in him, and he's just been outstanding to us the whole time. But yeah, we went into the first deal. I was honestly like, I don't care if we lose money at this point. I just need to get momentum. I need to learn, and let's go. First deal kind of turned into one of those dream scenarios to where it was a picture perfect BRRRR. Got our money back out, and then I think after that we kind of got addicted to it, and now we're enjoying the ride. But we're kind of at a stage now where we're trying to perfect the system, slow down, make sure we have everything in place to where we have that balance between offense and defense at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you would you mind breaking down the numbers on that BRRRR and maybe explaining to some of our audience who might not know what a BRRRR is?
Yep.
That's all you, man.
So yeah, BRRRR. Apologize. It's buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So the property that we purchased is a single family home. We purchased it for $70,000. It was October of 2020. So the purchase price was $70,000. That included the wholesale fee. We put $27,000 worth of rehab into the property, and now currently it is valued at $149,000. So
153.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there. She's like looking up right now. Actually, it's 153.
Yeah, I told you she's competitive.
153.5. Bob.
That's
it. I'm just thinking of like Price is Right. Okay, so all in on this deal. You bought it for 70, including the wholesale fee. And folks, listeners, if you don't know what a wholesale fee is, essentially you're purchasing from a wholesaler. They're assigning the contract at a certain price. So they go out, get it a contract. Maybe they got that for $60,000. Say they got that house for $60,000. They go and assign the contract to Sam and Bob, and they say, yeah, Sam and Bob, you can have this for $70,000, and they take a $10,000 swing. That's how wholesaling works. But you guys are in it for $70,000, and then you spend, say, $30,000, $27,000, whatever. You're all in for $100K. And what were you able to rent it for?
$1,000.
Yeah, we rented it for $1,000 a month.
Perfect. So you're renting it. Now you're at the 1% rule, right? Because you're in it for $100,000. You're renting it for $1,000 a month. So you're cash flowing, probably maybe a couple $100 a month at this point. I don't know. And then you go and get an appraisal and they say, hey, look, this house is now worth $153,500 or something like that. And you go and do a refi. What is that refi process like?
So we use conventional loans for this one. What we did is we got a hold of Sam, has a great relationship with a few of the loan officers in the area from when she was a realtor, excuse me. From there, we just simply worked with the loan officer. We applied for a mortgage, and we were able to get the mortgage, and we pulled out 80% of the home's value. So $120,000 got back. So we actually made $20,000 profit when we refinanced it.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
4 out of the 6 have been conventional loans, and then the other 2 have been cash BRRRRs.
Oh, awesome. So, and just to hone in on this math here, so you were able to go and pull out $120,000. So, you go to the bank, and the bank says, "Hey, we'll lend you 80% of this $153,500." And for math's sake, let's say that's $120,000, right? So at this point, and I'm deep diving on the BRRRR process for people who might not understand. At this point, you guys are all in this property for $100,000, and you go to the bank, and the bank says, "Yeah, I'll give you $120,000. I'll refinance this under its new value, and I'll let you guys pretty much take out $120,000." So you were in it for $100,000, and you had a tenant in there, and then you were able to go and pull out that remainder, that $20,000. That's money for you. That is money for you to go and put into the next property. That is your money. Plus, you already have a tenant in there. So now, you have a loan, at $120,000 and in debt or whatever, or not. That's what the bank has it refied as. But you still have a tenant in there, so you're slightly now under the 1% rule. Is that property still cash flowing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's cash flowing a couple $100 a month.
Yeah. So that's how you do it. If you do it right, as long as you don't go and the difference is crazy and say, oh, the home's worth $300,000. I mean, you just wouldn't want to pull as much out to make yourself negative on the cash flow. That's the general idea that I'm trying to hint on here. When you do these BRRRRs, there's a little bit of finesse involved. But in this picture perfect BRRRR, like you described, you guys in it for $100,000, you got the refi, you made a $20,000 profit. And, oh, by the way, you have a great tenant in there, and it's cash flowing a couple $100 a month. So you have your passive income. You go and take your 20. What'd you do with that 20?
Property.
Bought 5 more.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly. You just buy more. How do you become a successful military real estate investor? It starts with having a strong squad and trustworthy mortgage broker by your side. Hey guys, Kevin here. I wanted to take a quick break from the show to help you fill out your real estate investment dream team. Whether you're looking to fund your first VA house hack, close on an out-of-state turnkey investment, or just have a conversation with a lender who speaks your language, make sure you reach out to ADPI's team of qualified mortgage pros. With a full range of tailored lending options, our team is standing by to provide active duty service members, veterans, and military families just like you all the advice and resources you need to close on your first or next investment opportunity. Click the link in this episode's show notes or simply text DEAL, DEAL, to 33777 to get connected today. Now, let's get back to the show. So what was, so you had that 20 and you turned that into more properties. The thing I want to hit on here is how you're able to do it from overseas. Do you have some tips and tricks that you can share with folks who are overseas right now who might want to emulate what you've done?
I'm going to pass that one off to Sam. I run the numbers, and she pretty much does everything to close this and manage the project. So she's got that.
My recommendations would be have know people that you trust. Always have eyes on the property, whether it's a property manager, a real estate agent, a contractor, somebody that you trust. You'll want a lender, you'll want an attorney, you'll want a contractor, and then you want a good property manager. Those are the main team players, an insurance agent, and that all of this can be done virtually. We've never seen these homes. We've never set foot in these homes. And that might even be better because you fall in love with the numbers and not the house.
Mm.
And if we can do it from the Middle East in a different time zone, you can do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go on, Bob.
The one thing for us not seeing it, and the system Sam has set up, is we have the contractor walk through the property. The property manager will walk through the property with the contractor. And then for our flip, she'll have the realtor walk through the property to make sure that everything's good. So we have multiple sets of eyes on the property, but it's just not us. And they're the professionals. And it's the same thing with a property inspection. I don't need to see what it looks like. The inspection will tell me in pictures. And then the contractor and then our team really kind of walks through it with us and for us.
Yeah. Are you guys doing a little FaceTime situation or not even?
Usually Zoom or FaceTime. Where we are blocks a lot of apps, so usually Zoom is the only one that works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, but that's perfect. You set up those systems and you have these other trusted people walk through the properties for you. And I think that's a big hurdle for a lot of people to understand. When you're buying investment properties, we're obviously investing for cash flow, depending on your method, but you don't necessarily need to buy the property. I bought property sight unseen, and you'd think you when you tell other people that, I bet if you told your friends that, where you are now, they'd be like, you're crazy. You're absolutely nuts. But the fact of the matter is, if you are confident in your numbers and you trust your numbers, then that's what it's about. Trust your numbers and then have a couple trusted partners on the ground to tell you that this is what it actually says it is. That's all you really need. You just need to make sure you're not buying a house of cards, right? So but as long as you have the numbers in front of you, you run them and they meet your specifications, and then you have someone go and verify what you think you already know, that's it. Then you can do this stuff from anywhere. And that is something that I think holds up a lot of people. Any other tips and tricks or maybe, challenges that you faced along the way while you were amassing this portfolio from overseas?
Do every inspection imaginable. Do HVAC inspection, do septic inspection. We got a whole septic tank or a whole septic system replaced because we found something on the inspection. Have a home inspector in there. Make sure he gets up on the roof. You want to make sure that you're getting the right professionals in there. So then what kind of condition it's in. And if you're going to be renovating it anyways, the interior really isn't that big of a deal. Just hit the big ticket things, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, septic. Mm-hmm. Those are what's important. And then if you're going to be getting a lender involved, it's completely possible. It's just a little bit more paperwork, a little bit more logistics. Cash is way easier. Purchasing overseas is just way less paperwork.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because you gotta go back and forth with the paperwork, and I'm sure there's electronic signatures, but it's in general a pain. I love what you said. Do every inspection possible, because if you're local to the area where you're buying, you might not feel that you have to do that, but kind of I feel like it's for being overseas. It's probably like the cost of doing business, right? You're overseas. So you want that extra warm and fuzzy. So pay the extra couple $100 to get these inspections done. I
Yeah,
mean,
that septic inspection was the best $175 we ever spent.
because who the heck knows? I mean, I'm sure you guys know, but I have no idea how much a septic system costs. Probably 10,000.
More.
More? Okay.
Yeah.
that was a shot in the dark. So yeah, that $175 went and saved you a boatload of cash. So and it's stuff like that that can actually sink the deal. I mean, you're talking major capex that you run into. It could really eat into your profits, and you might even have to switch your strategy. The one thing I do love about what you guys are doing with BRRRRs is multiple exit strategies, right? Like in case something does go wrong, and that's perfect for when someone's overseas. Invest in something that has multiple exit strategies, so that in case something goes wrong and you don't have boots on the ground, you're not there. You can pivot and adjust and still be relatively okay. And I think that's something that people get caught up in, and it's one of those fear triggers that like says, oh well, I can't do this, because they think it has to go this way. I have to make $20,000 on this BRRRR. Like I have to do. That could be the goal, but if you have another exit strategy or another plan in place, then you can implement that plan when needed and still be okay. It's not a zero-sum game. So I think that's important to remember as well. Guys, these have been some awesome tips. Anything else you'd like to share before we jump into the bonus round?
Kevin, you just said something that's pretty important, as our mentor told us, is even at first property, when we first ran the numbers on it, it didn't add up to a perfect BRRRR. Like we had some equity growth in the market and everything, so it wasn't perfect. And we were hesitant on doing that deal. But doing it, getting the reps underneath us, getting education, the systems in place, and then the numbers working out. I'm not saying take a deal this isn't meeting your criteria, but if it's close and it hits 4 out of 5, like you really have to sit down and realize that this could be a lot more beneficial with us with a little bit of time. So the majority of our deals are not perfect, but you give them time, you put the rehab into them, and you do them right with the right people, you'll really get to where you need to be.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Bob. I think when we run our numbers, we're trained. Whether you're in Operation Atom, the Action Takers Only Mastermind, or whatever masterclass or mastermind or course or wherever you learn from, everyone trains you the same thing: underwrite conservatively. Yep. And we underwrite conservatively to make sure that we're still meeting our minimum criteria, and in case the market doesn't go the way that we think it's going to go, even though in the back of our minds we kind of have this idea. And obviously, Sam, you have even a better idea because of your background, but you don't underwrite it that way. You always underwrite for cash flow, and then the appreciation is the cherry on top. And by doing that, you leave yourself in a position where you're kind of like, under promising yourself, but then you over deliver by doing it. And that is an amazing way to continue to proceed in any type of real estate investing, whether you're doing, single family BRRRRs or you're doing commercial stuff. It doesn't matter. Always be conservative with your underwriting so that you're in a position to either, help grow your own net worth or provide more for your investors if that's who you're raising capital, whatever. It doesn't matter. Keep those principles in play. But there's a fine line with that. Also, you don't want to be so conservative that you price yourself out of any possible deal. So at the end of the day, Bob, what you said about getting the deal done and having the right people that you trust on the ground helping you out. And then what, Sam, you said about paying for those extra inspections when you're overseas, pay for them. I mean, it's okay. Get that knowledge, get that inside knowledge. And I think that is a kind of a great playbook for really getting started overseas. So before we jump into the bonus round, tell our listeners right now how many properties you have, what you've done in the past year and a half, like give them the synopsis.
We have 6 holds right now. And then our 7th is a flip that we're putting on the market probably at the end of this week or beginning of next week.
That's awesome. And this flip, we talk numbers on the BRRRRs and the holds. Do you want to talk numbers on this flip? Or do you not want to jinx it? I understand.
Ask the numbers guy. I'm just the schmooze.
That's the numbers guy. Okay. Numbers guy. You're up.
Yep. So purchased this property for, I believe it was $88,000. We've put roughly $30,000 into it for rehab and holding costs, and then looking to sell it for $140,000. So not bad for
All
a
right.
couple months, but
Yeah, exactly. Not, you know, and you know, hitting these singles and doubles, that's great, because that's how you slowly build your net worth and you get into bigger and bigger deals. So I love this, guys. I love what you're doing overseas. I think you're going to be a tremendous inspiration to the thousands of listeners that we have, and many of which who are serving overseas and see this as a major roadblock. So let's jump into the bonus round, and we'll ask you the same 4 questions that we ask every single guest. And we're going to start with number 1. What book or software has really helped you crush it lately?
I'll go first. Software is definitely QuickBooks. Taxes really just made me want to put my head through a wall this year. So QuickBooks is really beneficial in watching your numbers and seeing, where you're heading, if you're heading in the right direction. And then for the book, I'm going to go with The One Thing by Gary Keller. I feel like that's one that you can just read over and over again and read it differently each time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, for myself, I got all the classic books, like Rich Dad Poor Dad. But the one I have to go back to is the first real estate book I read. It's The Weekend Millionaire's Secret to Investing in Real Estate by Mike Summey. This book right here,
Okay, I never heard of that
really,
one.
it was life changing for me. It pretty much bases the concept of the book off of the one property a year, and I think it fits into military lifestyle. It really should have been written for the military, so I want to do a shout out to that book.
That's awesome. Yeah, guys, we're gonna have links to software, QuickBooks, and we'll have links to Gary Keller's book, and we'll also have links to the book that Bobby just mentioned. Awesome, great, guys. Question number 2: Who is your biggest hero and why?
Yeah, for me, Sam's my ride or die. I love my mom to death, but it's definitely my dad. I got to do a shout out to him. Um, he invested just so much time and energy into myself and my brothers as kids, and I've watched him run a business when I was a child. Kind of put that entrepreneur spirit in me. Um, so everything I do, I kind of tie back to the lessons he learned. So
That's awesome.
For me, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get really cheesy for a second. My husband's my hero. I just love his brain. I love how he thinks outside the box. I've watched him grow over the past 15 years from a high school kid to just I've never seen a mind work like his, and he astounds me every day the way he challenges everything around him.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's so incredible to have, obviously the relationship that you guys have, but also this I call this dynamic duo. I mean, you got the numbers guy, you got the sales, and you're combining it, and you're doing it from overseas, and you're military. It's like everything is fitting together, and I could just see it working for you guys, and I just know that your future is going to be so incredibly bright. Like, if you were able to do what you did in the last year and a half, imagine what you're going to do when you get back stateside. Like that, that to me just blows my mind. Yeah, that's what it's just like. And you don't even know where you're going to be. Who knows? But the fact remains that you continue down this path, and you will be well on your way to financial freedom, and you can then make that decision. Hey, do I want to, keep serving, or I love serving and I want to keep doing it? But having that decision and having that freedom is so powerful. So I applaud both of you for what you've done, and I love to see that you support each other. Question number 3, a little bit lighter. What do you both like to do for fun?
Well, we have a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old, so we really like taking showers when nobody screams, sleeping through the night, eating hot meals with 2 hands, hot coffee. We really enjoy hot coffee. We're really just, and it's 130 degrees here, so we try to stay indoors as much as possible.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
we're really just trying to enjoy the lifestyle here. We're in Abu Dhabi, right by Dubai, so we are enjoying like the pools and the hotels and the brunches and traveling, and and we're both really into like fitness and running.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she stole.
Bobby?
She stole most of my answers. I would summarize it as just trying to give back to the kids. Got a little bit of time over here in the afternoons for the work schedule, so it's been great for the family. And then it's just kind of that stage in our relationships lives with the kids being old enough, being able to go back out on a date with Sam every now and then is probably something I look forward to the most.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. Before we were recording, I told you the story about how we recorded hottest ever temperature in Kuwait while I was deployed to that area of the world. And I was like, oh my God. And I was only there for like 7 months. So I definitely understand what you're feeling when they say it's 130 degrees outside. I believe it. If you've never been down there, believe it. It is that hot. It's like walking into, an oven pretty much. Like when you
And
go outside.
It's not a dry heat. It's a very, very humid heat.
Yeah, it's another animal. So, how much longer do y'all have down there?
About a year
halfway
right now.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Awesome. All right. So here's the big question, y'all. And you can take it, you can give your own 3 nuggets. You can split it up, however. But I think this is perfect for a listener right now who is overseas. And you dropped a lot of great gems and nuggets already. But if you have 3 more nuggets that can summarize everything for that listener who's overseas and has been trying to get into real estate but just doesn't know where to get started, what would you tell them?
Yeah, so I'll kind of go into first something my dad always told me, Vince Lombardi quote: "If you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right." Um, is really, I don't think I need to explain that anymore. But the second one I'll go into, a mentor of mine, Lieutenant Colonel Connor. He told me, "Don't let school get in the way of your education." And I think that I've really, as soon as I heard that, it really stuck with me, and I've implemented that in so many aspects of my life. That yeah, you can read a book, you can do all this, um, but just go out there and get some reps in it. You're going to learn more by doing it and trying it, and it's okay to ask for help from people, but don't let school get in the way of your education, because that experience is what's going to ultimately get you to where you need to be. And then my last little
That's
nugget
awesome.
is progress over perfection. It's something I try to live by. I don't mind mistakes at all. Mistakes are fine as long as we don't make them twice. You also, of course, we've talked about it, protecting yourself and making sure that you're not going to hurt yourself. But progress over perfection. It doesn't need to be perfect the first time. Just go out there and take the first step, and just keep taking steps, and it will all pay off in the long run.
For mine, I would say number 1, get financially stable, get a good relationship with money, get disciplined, learn to delay that gratification, learn to be patient. You can't invest while you're just scraping by and living paycheck to paycheck. Like, you have to develop a good relationship with money and be disciplined before you start to take these risks. For number 2, I would say be a good person. Real estate's a small world. Real estate investing is even smaller in the military, even smaller. Your reputation is going to follow you everywhere you go. Make sure it's a good one. And if you have integrity and you're good to people, they'll remember that, and it comes back to you. And I learned that a lot from our mentor. Like, he's just been so successful because he's just a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3, teamwork makes the dream work. Once again, have your team, have your lender, have your attorney, have your insurance agent. This is a team sport. You can't do this by yourself. You have to have people in your corner, and you have to reach out and develop that trust. And it's a 2-way street.
No, yeah, and I love that, and it's crazy too, Sam, how when you're in a smaller market or whatever market you're in, and you're working with these team members, and the like you said, real estate is so small. All of these people know each other, and they all have worked with each other in the past for the most part. And that kind of greases a lot of the skids that you would think, oh, I got to introduce this person to this person, and they might not like each other, blah, blah, blah. No, they all know each other.
Mhm.
And the way that real estate purchasing is set up, it's kind of like each team member has their own role, and they're all motivated to get the deal done. So everyone wants to get the deal done, whether that's your property manager, your lender, your insurance agent. Like, everyone is motivated that way to get the deal done, and they all want to work together. And that's what makes purchasing real estate, whether you're at home or overseas, such a collaborative effort. And it's kind of quite refreshing. And I think, again, people who haven't gotten started yet, or people who are delaying getting started till they get home, they don't have to. So that's the biggest takeaway. I just want to highlight the fact that you guys are doing an incredible job. You're inspiring a ton of people by being on this podcast. So I thank you for your time. And I know the time change is different. And I know at our pre-show call, it was like 2:30 in the morning, and I had no idea where you were calling in from. And you guys were like rubbing your eyes, and I was like, what? It's like,
why are they
8
so
p.m. here.
tired?
What's your deal? Yeah, golly. And then I figured it out, and I was like, oh man, I felt so bad. But Thank y'all so much for coming on the show. If our listeners want to get in touch with you, what is the best way?
I'd say probably email's the best way. Email me, don't email him. Samantha.Meyer96. I'm the email person. I'm the admin.
Got it.
He's the numbers guy.
That's right. You're just like, definitely don't email him.
Yeah, go to me. And I'm
Right
happy to talk to anyone, help military spouses find their way in it. Happy to help. It's my passion. Samantha.Meyer9690 @gmail.com.
Perfect. And we're going to have that linked directly in the show notes, guys. So if you want to, send Sam an email directly after this, scroll down to the show notes, click that link. It'll go right up. It'll open your email browser with her email in it. It is so easy. Please, please, please. Every single episode I say this, please reach out to the guests on this show. That is how you grow your network. That you ask the questions. Just, you can listen to this show and we always talk about it, taking action. The easiest action step you can do right after this is tap that little link, email Samantha, and hop on a phone call if you're interested in learning how to invest from overseas, or if you just want to connect with her. But building those connections, building that network, that is how you find true success in this industry. So thank you guys so much. The dynamic duo, the power couple. I will come up with more nicknames.
I like Mr. Samantha Meyer. That was good.
There you go. Yeah. One of those will be the title, I'm sure. And this episode, it'll come out in a couple weeks, but I'm just so excited that you guys are doing what you're doing, because we literally have so many people coming to me all the time say, well, I can't get started because I'm overseas, and you have conquered that. So I applaud you. And like I said, I can't wait to see, where y'all end up. And I hope to meet you one day in person.
Thanks so much, Kevin.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Outstanding. That was an awesome episode. Thanks so much to our special guest, and thanks to you for listening. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, make sure you go and do that. Or schedule a call with us by texting ADPI to 444-999, or checking out our website at www.activedutypassiveincome.com to find out how you can get started on your financial freedom journey today. I'll see you guys next week.